I often start out my videos with a filming tip because I want people to come here to film well. And as far as the whole rest of the world goes, I think we should film everything everywhere, and I think we should share our lives and get to know each other and make a better world. I think the majority of people in all places want that, and that the more contact we have with each other, we can get positive voices into the narrative. You know, what we see is a lot of messaging out there thrown around from extremist groups and hate groups of all kinds, and religious people, and people defending their nation, their culture, their identity. It's really important to them. Their identity is better than other identities. That's the essential thing. Is everybody's a supremacist, as far as I can tell. Even the ones who are against white supremacy, they're into somebody's supremacy, mainly them. And that's the way the world has always worked. It's too bad. It's a terrible trap for everyone. And maybe with video, we can actually talk to each other, and we can just go through the list of issues and problems and cultural conflicts and theoretical values and stereotypes about groups and means of oppression that exist all around us. Because that exists for all of us. And that's really a widespread thing, and we feel different interpretations of that. You know, some of us get sad certain ways, some of us try and get false happiness other ways. Maybe some people find actual happiness and purpose. Those might be the people we want to listen to. And there's a lot of wisdom out there, I think, that isn't glitzy and it isn't sellable. And I think that we should look for things we might be losing. I don't know which old people in the world have utility still, but there are people living in areas where they're closer to the food which sustains them, and they know how to do more things to sustain their life instead of make a phone call to somebody who can fix it, or have insurance companies involved, or courts and all these laws about what you can do and you can't do. That's all just oppressive, terrible stuff. It's destroying human creativity worldwide. And we, the people, whoever the people is, but I guess it's everybody. I mean, we all do what we can escape from the confines that we're all in, and we don't have to hate someone because they're in some other kind of confine. It always annoys me. I see all this crap from my theoretically smart, nice friends, and a bunch of them, the dumb ones, hate rich people. Rich people aren't the problem. You would like to be them in some ways. I would like to have a lot more money than I have to do the things I want to do. Would that make me somehow different than what I am now? And of course, I know there's all this other crap you can mix in there, and I'm just going to skip that. It's just a morass of crap and hate. So I am an individual doing what I can do. That's it. And so I put myself out there because I'm hoping that this world has a lot of other people who may not like me personally. I don't care about that at all, and shouldn't like me too much because that's weird. But I hope that people listen to the ideas. That's what matters. That's the thing we can share, and we can change how technology affects our lives. We can do this within our cultures. We don't have to disrupt everything or have a revolution. Keep most of what you got in your culture and throw out the bad parts. Edit your culture. I think that's the easiest thing for you to do. Now I'm getting ambitious over here because I'm out there. And I'm thinking about how can we make systems that, you know, the whole world can make agreements, and we just agree on kind of and I'm not even saying a written law, but cultural ways of being that we think help us be better. I think we're in charge of that law. I'm in charge of cultural law and everything I do all around me. And so if I assume that role, that powerful role, and understand that that's what I'm doing that right now through this video, you know, and I don't know what you think of it. Doesn't matter. I'm putting myself out there to try and explain my thoughts, which aren't super tricky in many ways, but sometimes I have very innovative ideas. And I want a lot of other people to do that too. I've noticed some showing up online, and they're not just clickbait grabbers or do annoying pranks people, or there's a lot of crap I don't like really on the internet. But I'm glad it's there. I love free speech. Anybody who's against free speech is a supremacist for their own speech. They want somebody to use force to take away somebody else's incorrect view. And this happens every generation, and the excuses are often very similar. It's not a new thing. And if we look at the cultures we admire for their culture and their learning and the culture they produced, and there's whole libraries that got burned down and stuff, and at various times in history where we lost knowledge, and it's a terrible thing. Well, we, with this tool of us being able to communicate on video, which is better than text, I've talked about that in other videos, video is closer to how we were made to communicate. You can actually hear my inflection. You can get used to my culture of how I communicate. You can maybe figure out when I'm joking, which I'm joking a large amount of the time, sort of, but it's a joke that's kind of for me, and you may or may not get into it. I don't know. You'd have to watch a bit of me. But you can't take the exact words I say at face value. You could easily misquote me. Please don't. If you include enough context, I think that what I'm saying is pretty clear. I think I'm a good communicator in that sense. I communicate pretty much the same to the camera as I would to a person, except eventually I would get tired of talking and we'd go eat some food and do something else. But hey, you never know. You video that too. Anyway, I would love to see more kind of, I don't know what I should name these kind of videos, right? There should be a name for this. Because I'm doing a certain kind of, I'm just collecting clips throughout my day, sticking them together, uploading them, and then that's just a desperation move because I have such low bandwidth and I have no one else here and I'm kind of bored. And then I have intermittent feelings that I can actually be useful and good in the world. And then a week and a half ago, I got really just in a tough spot. And some people helped me out. It was very nice. I'm actually a very emotional guy. And that's probably one of the reasons I don't do a lot of thank yous to donors, because it chokes me up that I'm actually able to do this at all. And I don't have enough donations to keep going, I'll be honest. At this date, whatever date this video is, I'm in shit shape. But there's people out there trying for me, and I totally appreciate it. And these last 2 years have been just absolutely bizarre. I'm the Brian I was, but I'm also not the Brian I was. Today is an awesome day. Let's get on with the day. Fuck this. Here, look at this bullshit right here. This is Christmas lights that I put up out here. They were too weak for the environment. There's critters out here that chew through cables. If a dog can get at something, they'll do that. These should just be torn the fuck down. Well, there you go. That was easy. Ugly crap garbage. Never buy ugly crap garbage in any case, even if it seems like a sparkly, pretty idea at the time. Buy shit that's 10 times, well, buy shit that's tougher than you need it. Much tougher. And otherwise you just fill your place up with junk. You fill your life up with junk. Have the best of everything and almost none of it. That's unquotable. Have the best of everything and almost none of it. I like that. Keep it simple, but keep it great quality. Anyway, we're here to do a couple things. One is, this is my leather jacket here that I have. I got this a long time ago. It showed up outside my house along with a sprinkler. And I thought there was a third item. This leather jacket, a sprinkler, showed up outside my house, my basement apartment. It was not even a legal apartment, but I need a place to live. I was going to university at the time. And I go out there, and I don't remember if I had heard a scuffle out there or not. You know, your memory makes stuff up, so my memory could have heard that scuffle, decided I wasn't sure, then decided it was probably made up, and then thought, well, why did I think of it? I don't know. So I don't know what happened. Witnesses are bad, especially ones that weren't there, you know, a long, long time ago. Witnesses are notoriously bad. I went to journalism school, and you do some mass media law, and you do some things like that, and all sorts of stuff about, you know, collecting information from people in a non-police format. And you find out people are confused, don't know stuff, lie constantly. I don't know who to believe about anything. And journalism didn't help with that. It helped me understand it, and that was useful. All right, where are we at? How the heck did I start talking about that? I am such a good tangent. Oh yeah, this jacket. So this jacket is bullshit. Wait a minute. No, that's just kind of my filler thing there. If I was going to edit this, I would edit that out because it makes me sound stupid. This jacket is not bullshit. This jacket has had a great life. It's been to Burning Man multiple times. It came from a mysterious place. It says on it, Fang over here. You can barely see it because the green is all faded, worn off, something like that. It's covered in metal studs. It's very uncomfortable to wear because it's very heavy. I'm serious. Heavy jacket, and that's when I'm not going to wear it. I was trying to find a thing to wear to go outside, and I found this guy. I used to wear this to parties sometimes when I want to dress more formally. I like it. It's very cheaply made. It's clearly a party jacket. It lacks a lot of stuff. Like, its number one lacking thing is pockets. That's okay. I could solve that some other way. But that's a pretty big deficit. It does look weird and has probably some kind of cultural stereotypes for each person that sees it. And I think that's hilarious. I don't know what mine are. I do have pictures of me wearing this thing, though. And then the other thing I'm doing right now is I'm wearing these pants right here. These are painter's pants. And they're covered in colored paint. See that? And they got two cargo pockets on the sides. Right in here, where I shouldn't put things, but I already did. I shouldn't because I'm not sure I'm going to keep wearing these. You know what I've been wearing? You know how horrible this has been? Look, I got no shirt. I have this shirt. Wait, you looking at my tits? Don't look at my tits. It's very offensive, you know. My eyes are up here. My dick is down there. That's okay. You can look there. All right. This shirt was apparently a donation, although I haven't figured out who donated it. Probably somebody who was here left it here. That's how I get a fair amount of random shirts. This could have been a person who left it here for me on purpose more, but I think it's an extra shirt. On the front it says $1 million, and then it says some other stuff. What the hell does that say? Wine. $1 million wine glass. Huh, something to do with wine. Pigs and Pinot. Pinot is probably Pinot Noir or Pinot. It's kind of grape or something. Pinot. Beneficiaries. Sonoma County, California. Sonoma County, wait. I guess in California. Education programs. A foundation, education, a whole bunch of crap. Well, that's a lot of places. They give $400,000 away. They give it to so many people, it looks like. Each place, well, no, this one, no, sorry. They have sections on this thing. This thing's hard to read. This is questionable graphic arts. All right, $125,000 probably went to local sports and programs. And they list a bunch. $250,000 went to Share Our Strengths, No Kid Hungry campaign to help end childhood hunger in America. Their main thing is to end childhood hunger in America. That sounds good. If there's a hungry child, fix that shit. That's bad for society. I think they should, all children and all people should have healthy, good food. And I've written a ton about my food philosophy. I'm less worried about, we got a lot of poisoned kids out there. You know, we're dooming people to diabetes. We got lots of fat people. We should tax the fat people to pay for the poor people, the undernourished people. I don't know. I don't know if that's certainly not as big a problem in America as it used to be. Child hunger worldwide has plummeted. Go ahead. I'm happy that there's a lot of momentum in that direction. Finish the job. I'm very interested in the structures that would cause a child to be hungry, because children often have parents. And so parents often try and feed the child because that's just what they want to do, depending. There used to be extended families. And here in Mexico, I see extended families helping each other. And their whole life is better because they have people in their family around them. Not everybody has that these days. I don't have that kind of functionality in my family. I don't have that kind of relationship. And there's a lot of other people there who are estranged from their families, maybe because they're bad people, or they're at least weird, or they didn't fit in, or they made odd choices, or who knows how they got to where they are. But anyway, there shouldn't be hungry people in the world, hungry children in the world. I almost think a lot of these programs that are very U.S.-centric are sort of spoiled in a way. Now, I realize that, we don't just go elsewhere in the world. We can actually change a lot of things in the world by stopping being part of the problem. Anyway, this is too long, I think. This will go for like 6 hours to be talking about that. Let's finish the shirt. So the $225,000 went to Sonoma County education programs. Neat. Scholarships. These are scholarships at various schools. Culinary America, University Scholarship, Children of the Vineyard Scholarship, Children of the Vineyard Scholarship. I wonder how that happened. Must have been a full moon. Let's see. Or a new moon. Interesting. Huh. I guess I'll wear this, even though it's black and it's hot out. I have a solution. We'll see if I remember later. So I just showed you my pants, right? It's so nice to be in something I chose. For a year, in July it'll be 2 years, so it's over a year and a half. Years and months and shit. What is it now? April 8th, 2021, and the accident was July 14th, Bastille Day, 2018. That'd be accurate. These shorts were gotten for me quite a few months after I was already in Oranga. I forget when I was able to put them on. There's probably a video on that. But I did not buy these shorts. This is not my style. These look like the shorts that guys in the 80s who played golf in high school wore. They thought it was a neat fashion thing. I think there were movies out at the time about that. Anyway, and then I've just got a belt on here and a carabiner. And these are so dirty. I've been wearing them forever. They've gotten washed multiple times. But I've been wearing these for like over a year. Every time I go to town, everything. And then they've gotten really dirty, and I sort of washed them. What I did was I got in the shower wearing them because I was really dirty too. And so I just got in the shower and then rubbed soap all around them and used my body as a spot to rub them onto. And lots of, laundry, hardcore soap, Hopefully not, didn't hurt me, but I don't think so. And they still look dirty as hell, but they're cleaner than they were. And I'm really happy to be out of these, and I'm going to start looking at other pants options. My belt, this is a flaming belt. See the belly there? It goes with the belly. Flaming belt back here. I can hook shit onto this, and I really like hooking shit onto things because then I can carry shit around easier. In fact, I'll take this carabiner, see if hopefully it'll go around and fit here. Yep, I think it will. Put it right over here. Boom. Getting more functional by the minute. I can't tell you what a thrill though it is to be able to take care of myself, to just prep up and go for a walk. It's still a pain in the ass. I've been in bed for the last 4 days, and I'll just do a medical thing. Skip ahead if you don't like it. I'll try and change the camera angle or something to make it obvious that a change happened. But for the last 4 days, let's see, Tuesday I went into town. I already had for over a week a swollen ankle, very swollen, really big. At first they were both swollen, then the left one got more swollen and the right one got less swollen. I think that's what happened, yeah. And I was doing a lot of walking around. So my theory was, I'm walking around too much, I'll stop. It wasn't helping. It might have been longer than a week before I finally went to town. So I went to town. I went to the doctor because this had happened before when I was in town in a hospital bed thing all the time. And I said, "Hey, can you give me these drugs that make my water retention?" I think is what it's called, and there's a different name for it, like whatever. You'll find it. Google it. Anyway, it's just stupid because like, why is it doing it, right? So my only theory was I was walking too much. So I took some days off. I can't tell if it's getting better or not, but I know I have to walk around. And so today will be an interesting day. I'm going to walk around quite a bit, all in nice places I feel like going and have a good time. But, you know, often I'm making these decisions of like, do I do more or less, or am I doing enough? And I can't tell if I overdid it or not. I probably did. The other thing that correlated with that was eating food out of cans. And I wish I could divide those two and figure out which factor it was, or if it was both. But it was probably one of them. I think I overdid it. I think that's my best theory. Here's what I could do though, because I lived mostly on canned food for 2 weeks or so. Longer. Yeah, 3, something like that. Great experiment. But I also in that time I just started really pounding hard walking. Now if I waited a little while, wait till the foot gets better, if it somehow does, which would be convenient. Then I could actually, once it's all good, I could, because I'm going to keep working harder, so I don't, but I could test cans. Just eat canned food for 2 weeks and see if anything weird happens at all to me. Like, and measure it somehow. I wish I had better, like, medical monitoring things. Anyway, so we've got me all dressed. This took forever. This is kind of cool because it's like an art pirate thing. Because I cut slits in it, so it's very comfy. This is bad if there's no good trails because it would collect a lot of burrs. Burrs are very annoying. So I think we're done. I've got my cane, and I might just try and use the tripod as a cane in this case, but this cane has been invaluable in these stages. I'm finally getting out and about, which is just psychologically wonderful, and I can actually go as fast as a normal person. Not as far, but I can go as fast as a normal person. So that really makes me happy. And I used to walk too fast anyway. Big problem. I had actual relationship issues arise from that kind of thing. So I've got my hat here, and this is great. Great hat from, what's the island's name? Do you know it? Do you remember it? I talked about it in other videos. You going chronologically? Just drop it in. Hanitsio is an island over there where they make hats like this. It's amazing. They have all kinds of hats. I mean, I have like videos that are almost advertisements for those hats, and they don't pay me anything. I don't even think they have any idea I do these videos. This hat's actually better. First of all, remember, I didn't like the fact I was wearing a black shirt. I'm going out in the middle of the day. The sun is just streaming down, and there's a couple good things about this this hat. First of all, shade. Duh. You have your own shade structure. You're walking around. It's missing a strap. Bummer. What else am I going to say? You haven't heard this one yet. Let's go walking, shall we? No, let's not. Let's just walk out here for 1 sec. If I'm out here, I can actually use the hat to block the sun a little bit more than a small hat. And so I'm trying to keep my face in the correct exposure. And so I actually have a very small photo studio along with me. See that? That's pretty fucking harsh lighting, isn't it? Look at this. I can kind of guess, even though it's hard to see the screen out here in this bright sunlight, it is bright out here. And so if I can moderate it, you'll get some idea of the forest still. Unfortunately, the forest isn't green enough. I mean, I wish I had an HDMI video camera. When they invent that, boy, that's going to improve things a lot. HDMI video camera, I should look that up. That would, for this kind of vlogging type thing where you're moving around a lot, you have very little control, and documentary things, wow. And if you could then later tweak the HDMI so that you could decide how much effect to have or not, given the situation. Like some people might crank it all the way up and just be like, I want to see every detail of all the bright and the dark things. And then other people would be like, oh, I just want to, you know, brighten up these dark corners a bit, you know, something like that. But I like the idea of having it be somewhere between those two. Like, I just want to see it all. That's my goal. Just make it so everything is a good exposure, but don't let me lose the fact that it is darker there. In fact, even it'd be really cool if you could just have an interface online or on a watching device where you yourself could actually decide how much HDR to do, how much to hide shadows or not. And of course, there'd be a default that the director thought. The person who thinks that how you should watch it would have a default. That's fine. But I should be able to change my default on HDRness, which means, larger file sizes, of course. It could mean, 3 times the file size. If you had one that was just really focused on brights and others on darks. And of course, you have to have cameras that will produce HDR video. Once they produce HDR video, those problems will all probably get solved. So, what are we doing? Oh yeah, I wanted to show you something else. I guess I can't do this outside. One of the many to-do items here in Bosque Village, I guess in here I could not even have a hat if I wanted, is to improve all sets radically. The fact that there's so few, like right now, like over there, I mean, there should be 10, places around the Bosque where I could have this kind of conversation with a camera, and the lighting would be good. It's all about the lighting. That's my current problem. It's tempting to slap up a huge number of polycarbonate things that pointed directly at the high noon sun to make spots like this that are mostly shaded enough to have diffuse lighting, and in the background, though, would still be massively overexposed. Should I have fill lighting? Should I put a solar panel on there to have fill lighting to fill that semi-shaded person? Semi-shading would actually be better in many ways because the difference between the inside shade and the outside would be less, maybe. So maybe just enough to make people comfortable and make the lighting softer. Could be part of every comfort station. And then while comfort stations aren't used a lot, that's how they'll be. Later on we could plan for comfort stations to have spots because often some comfort stations have Wi-Fi. And so they could have a phone booth there, which should really amount to a small studio. And I would recommend going with green screen. I believe people will become better at using green screens. The software is already getting better at helping people have better green screens. All we have to do is build the infrastructure. The infrastructure is the issue. And so I'm imagining a telephone booth size thing. I mean, seriously, you're just standing there in a telephone booth. Maybe you can't even sit down. Maybe you can sit down in some of them. Who knows? We can, the sky's the limit, but let's start with absolute simple. A place to step into where you are well lit and you have a full green screen behind you and you can start broadcasting and talking. That has to be sound insulated. It's too bad we don't have a bunch of old phone booth doors to stick on a little cob building. So you just open a phone booth door, you got in it, and it was all cob so that the sound would be even more insulated. Although even a regular old phone booth would work great. In fact, I wonder, are there old phone booths for sale somewhere? Because people don't use those anymore, do they? What happened to all the phone booths? Maybe they're super cheap. Maybe someone would donate them just to get them off their land. Did there used to be phone booths, regular phone booths, and like the stand-up ones, like the TARDIS, Doctor Who, the glass ones are what I was thinking of. The ones in horror films a lot. Somebody hits them with their car. Anyway, let me show you a book. Zacaret Expressions Únicas de Mexico. That's the book right there. It's an unusual book. The website is xcaret.com. You get that? It's got pictures of happy people on the cover. They often look very Mexican. All of them are very Mexican looking of one kind or another, whatever that means. Ooh, more people in the inside. This is $15 US, and it was probably purchased, my belief is, at a set of really cool resorts, like water parks or something, or natural parks in Mexico. Do I know that? One thing I do notice in here is it doesn't have an ISBN number, 970-9513419, And it's all the reproduction of this is permitted with the goals of cultural diffusion, with the goal of sharing culture. Well, damn. They're saying I can just use their book however I want. Now, I'll still credit them if I use it. Just, I don't know what they really want, but they just said I could do what I want. I say, thank you to Mexico. This is a really great book. Let's take a look. Okay, so we open it up. Nice bright colors. Let's do this here. Oh, yeah, that's better. Isn't that better? Yeah. Nice bright colors. I've never really looked through this whole book yet, so we'll look through it together. Expressions únicas de Mexico. Here's a little girl and bananas. Can you see that? Little girl and bananas. She looks very happy about that, and I wish I had bananas. I forgot to buy them in the market. It really sucks. She probably lives in a region where bananas grow, since those are very green bananas. So it could be Yucatan, it could be the coast of Michoacan. She could live in Michoacan. Everybody should live in Michoacan. No, there's no people here. This is the Mexican flag here. See the Mexican flag? If you're not familiar with it, you might as well get familiar with it. Especially, you know, most of my audience is probably gringos and English-speaking Mexicans. That's my guess. I did notice 25 to 35 or 35 to 45, somewhere in there is my demographic that likes me the most. The cool thing is you should actually know about the flag of Mexico. I'll give you my brief overview. It's real quick. There's green, there's white, there's red. I forgot what they all mean, and one of them didn't make sense to me anyway. So it might be the red of war, who knows what. But the more interesting part for me isn't the colors. It's this cool thing in the middle. This is an eagle holding a snake, in this case eating a snake, and it's on a nopal cactus. I have nopal cactuses here. I have various birds of prey. I'm not an expert on them. Red-tailed hawk is very common to see. And then I've got turkey vultures, and then I've got a lot of other types of raptors I've seen that I have no idea what they are. And then I also got great white-horned owls and a variety of other owls. So anyway, but really nice looking flag there. Oh, look, double language. And this says Miguel Quintana Pali. Now, he was back here. I didn't read you all the names. But somewhere back here, Miguel Quintana is the engineer. So the engineer of this. And then a bunch of other people are credited. I'm not going to read all their names. Oh, Andrew Rojo did the translation English. That's convenient. Because what I was excited about here is to see Spanish on this page and English on this page. I love books like that. The closer they are, and the more it's easy to compare the two, the better. This page is laid out fairly well. There is a large margin here, but that's okay. It's not an instructional book. I could criticize the translation. I'm not going to do that, probably, unless I notice it. I'm not going to read the whole thing at the moment. But it says, welcome to Mexico. Welcome to Mexico. Now in English. If this is done by a theme park of some kind, then they've done a good job at having it not be an advertisement. A really good job. I can find no evidence that that's what it is, if it is that. Maybe it isn't that. I may have been completely wrong. It could be a town. But how did a town manage to get this? Also, is this all of Mexico? I'm hoping it's a lot of places. Let's start cruising on this, okay? Let's get in the thing here. A person, he is old, his name is Peto, he is from Yucatan. Oh, how cute he is. There you go. He does things. He makes, it looks like baskets. That's pretty cool. We had a basket workshop here once. Oh, this guy sounds really great. All right. Formation of the nation. Creation of our nation. Mexico has had a long time, in the creation of the nation. Uh-oh, is that the same guy? Yep, it is. Is this all, maybe this is like a propaganda book. Maybe I'm being propagandized to believe in this guy. Formation of the nation, huge amount of text, huge amount of text, huge amount of text. And then there's also the same text in English, which is great. I've already read a ton of Mexican history. I'd really rather not read more of it. But this is probably a good overview. I think this is probably the right amount of depth, because some of the books I have are like that thick. One of them I stopped reading because I was just bummed out because, you know, nobody ever wins. You know, Mexicans have still not tasted freedom. They didn't before the Spanish. They didn't after the Spanish. They didn't in their revolutions, and they don't now. And oddly enough, there might be some upsides to that. It might be a good thing in some ways. I don't know. I'm not an expert on Mexico. But this looks like about the same kind of thing you would want to read. Yep, there's a sculpture out there. One of these guys. New Spain, 3 centuries of cultural blending. There's a guy again, the same guy. See, I'm really worried that, like, I'm reading some guy's cult manual for, he's going to publish this book. Maybe that's what it is. It's a thing to make me like this particular guy. Other than the picture in there, I see no evidence of that. The indigenous inhabitants, then owners and masters of the land, spotted sailing ships with horses on board approaching and could not understand what was going on. A lot of them seemed to catch on pretty quick. A lot of people banded together to kick the Aztec ass, you know. The Aztec ass. Aztec ass. The Aztec asses. I don't know why Mexico affiliates so strongly with Aztecs. I guess it's because Tenochtitlan became the capital. And so there's all this love of Aztecs, but the truth is that, you know, you could revere almost any one of Mesoamerica's many cultures and the values that they had and feel a connection to that if you're sort of from here. Nobody around here is actually indigenous, like First Peoples. Like, there was lots of cultural blobs and mixing and tribes and languages and empires, just like Europe, you know. It would be like calling all Europeans indigenous or something, when there's so much movement that, sure, whatever. I mean, maybe that's sort of true. But, yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. This is a real nice mural made by somebody. It almost looks like they photographed Xochimilco sculptures. I don't know that, but that's what it looks like to me. Xochimilco is a town in Michoacan that makes really cool clay figurines. And they have them like devils riding Pepsi trucks. They have the Last Supper. They have the Twin Towers getting hit by a plane. They were working on 2 custom pieces for somebody in New York on that. They have hens that if you pick up the hen, then there's 2 people fucking under it. I took a bunch of those to Burning Man and gave them away. They were hilarious. They have clay skull necklaces that you won't find anywhere else. If you were going to make a movie and you had you could like make up some tribe living somewhere on some island, and they had, you know, a dancing ritual thing or something. You could buy some of those and, you know, add some other things, and you could have your cool ancient tribe, and they could act out your cool rituals. Most of you are not going to do that, probably. Churches are always real big in Mexico. Everybody loves churches. There's actually a wide variety of styles, and you could actually study architecture just thinking about churches. I would be interested in how to have a large building, because I do think about the facade on my huge building, right? Are there bigger decisions I can make to give it a smoother identity? Now, I know that individual units can make their own identity, but outside from it, there are options for me to make something like this, you know, archways. I never think like that, and I need somebody to pretty up my building ideas, because my building just looks like a skyscraper that fell down and then has good porches. So, spaces like this. I mean, it's too bad that there's a lot of Spanish design. A lot of Spanish design was actually affected by the Moors a lot, because the Moors occupied that for 7 centuries, something like that. And so there was a lot of cultural mixing there. There was a lot of architectural possibilities. And I think I mean, I'm not a big fan of Islam or anything, but the art of Islam and other things about Islam have been at the pinnacle at various points in history. And certainly their architecture, to me, just grabs me, and I love it. I love tile work. I like domes. You know, I realize that what I'm exposed to is probably just the fanciest ones. So I'm really just comparing fancy versus common. But I guess I want to make sure that I have these places be beautiful and also very easy to maintain. Maintenance costs are huge. A very primary constraint on any buildings I get involved with is that they have to be built to last, and they have to be built to last without people doing a lot to them. Unless it's completely natural, maybe. You know, if you just are going to take some mud and squish it on during the rainy season, fine. But, you know, we got to build things to last. This is the first haciendas. So these are pictures of really pretty places, and they're called haciendas. That was kind of like plantations as far as I can tell. You own an area and you own the people in it, and they all do your agriculture for you. It's kind of like slavery. But then again, how we live now is kind of like slavery too. Slavery seems pretty constant. Its exact form changes over time. So here we've got the haciendas slaves here. There they are. We were just talking about them. They're out there slaving away, making cheap stuff. Spain pretty much took as much resources out of Mexico as they could. Mining was big. Mexico has produced a huge amount of the world's silver. At that time, it was done with manual labor more. And I don't know if they're still mining silver in Mexico. Maybe they somehow mined it out, or maybe it became not profitable for some reason. I'm actually happy I don't have silver here, although I'd like to have it for me. I wouldn't want someone to take over my land for it. One of the reasons I'm safe and secure is because I don't have anything anybody is that willing to steal yet. So this hacienda here has blue agave in front of it. Isn't that pretty? That is really pretty. And of course you make tequila out of that. Around here though, we don't do that. I have blue agave. I have like 5 plants at least. They have never flowered. They're not that happy. I don't take care of them. What really grows around here is the maguey. Agave americanus, I think it is. Agave something else. Agave. There's a couple of agaves. I got 2 that really work well. Both would be great for mezcal. And I planted thousands. And I'm still annoyed because they grow so slow. You know, I wish I'd planted more of them right away. But here's a guy chilling out. Now the truth is, that's not the Mexico I live in. That would have to be a fancy restaurant or something, or some fancy people. Hasta de la muerte. Hemos hecho una fiesta, si amanece nos vemos. Even death we have turned into a celebration. You know, one of my favorite things about Mexico, not just to enjoy, but to really take into my own culture, is Day of the Dead. And I'm not sure how I'll do that in the future. I've done it in the past a little bit. But I think it's one of the, you know, I have always had big issues with death, a long relationship with death for a variety of reasons all my life. Even the name Faye, which is pronounced Phi, when I was growing up, I changed the pronunciation because everybody else outnumbered me. I didn't want to correct them the rest of my life. So I became Brian Faye, but the original name was Brian Phi. That means foredoomed to die at a predestined time. That's what my Reader's Digest dictionary said. It's also the Fey folk and all that. But that's Fey, not Phi, and whatever. Who knows? I love, in any case, Day of the Dead. I don't come from a culture which celebrates death, in my opinion, very well. And I think I can do better than both Day of the Dead and where I came from. That's easy. And then also going all the way back to Zoroastrianism, when they would just put them up on a roof and the birds would eat them. Other people are, you know, making various forms of fungus burials, plant a tree on you, etc. I have the best idea that I'll have, and it's actually a sculpture park. And then you compost the bodies below it. There might be a tunnel underneath to harvest, unclear. And then, and then people can have a brass plaque with their name on it, put into the sculpture. Various kinds of sculptures, abstract, real, shrines, not. Very different formats and forms, mostly made of concrete, is my guess. Concrete lasts long enough and eventually be ruined, just like we are. The main thing is that it's also a park. So mixed in with it is shaded areas to hang out. It is probably walled off, and the park is really there for people who are there to visit somebody. I don't know. We can design all kinds of options, and it depends on the space. The space here, of course, what I care most about. But then I got to take that same idea and see how it transfers to some other location. Factors are different. This photo looks like it was taken from some kind of Day of the Dead play. That does not look like Day of the Dead where I'm at. This is a little bit closer, this altar here. That looks a little bit more like the Day of the Dead I know. Those people, however, look like they were cut out of magazines and are movie stars. But whatever. Some people are movie stars. Maybe that's their altar. If I had to choose something worth showing to the world, it would be Mexico's laughter and mockery of death. I kind of agree. That in that part of Mexican culture, I fit right in. I love the humor. I love the seriousness of it. And I love the idea that you're remembered as long as people remember you. It's a sort of karma, you know. You may not have an next life, but how you're remembered is who you were. And that's all you are at that point. You exist as a set of memories. And that might be a motivator for some people to have those memories be better than worse. I would hope so. One of the most impressive Mexican celebrations is held right here in Zacarat Graveyard. Okay, so whatever Zacarat is, Zacaret, whatever, it's clearly an advertisement for that place. And that disappoints me. I thought it was going to be a thing about all of Mexico. So if this is just about that area, let's go back here. I skipped a page. That is a really nice looking graveyard there. And I certainly would not be sad to have those kind around here either. I suppose I could influence local graveyards, but their customs are fine. I don't know that they have to change at all. Okay, here's the guys who go on a pole and then they hang off of it in a ritual thing. It's a folk expression is what they call it here. I'm sure that's awesome. It's fairly decadent, you know. Doing it for tourists, whatever, it's fine. I think it's great. I think it's just great. I'm not personally motivated to build that here. All these people dress different than where they dress where I live. This says these people here are from Oaxaca, and they're part of the popular cult of the Virgin of Carmen. Popular cult to the Virgin of Carmen. They may be using the word cult differently here. It could be secta. Is it secta in Spanish? No, they say culto. Interesting. What's the difference between a secta and a culto? Sect in English and a cult. You know? Dale, 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 no pierdas el tino, porque si no pierdas el camino. Various partying going on, sparklers, candles, figurines, food, of course, probably pozole, at least where I live. Oh, the posadas, right, posadas, duh, okay, sorry, that's obvious. Christmas, Navidad. In my experience, they don't do much with Christmas here. They do a lot for Reyes Magos. The local town has, of Arangaricuro, has their biggest party of the year every January 6th. Right after that, the Bosque closes for the rest of January and February, except for residents. As our quietest time of the year. We're still open for hermits. We're still open to a variety of options, but we do not run our regular programs. So don't come here during January, February. Celebration of love. Yeah, you know, that's a mixed bag, actually. Love is very hard to understand, and I certainly don't understand it. But I've seen many Mexicans do very unloving things. Many. Inside their families. And everybody has a struggle. And relationships struggle, and divorces happen, and guys leave their families. It's not all perfect. Now, the general idea is great. I think we should try better, but... La Charreria, this is Mexican rodeo. This is completely from somewhere else. See the guy on the horseback? First of all, he is roping something, which only happens when you're catching a bull. Here, it's called a jarapeo, and they just ride bulls. That's the main thing. I would suggest that they diversify and do other things, but to be honest, I don't want them to. I don't really like jarapeos. I think they're kind of animal abuse and human abuse as well. I don't find them that enjoyable of an environment. The music is too loud, the food is not too good, and the beer is too expensive unless you bring your own, which at least you can do. In other words, it's not my kind of party. Here they call it charreria. Here it's called a jarapeo. The bull rings, however, I'm quite interested in. I'm very interested in the bull rings because they're never used. They get used once a year for 3 days. And it's an entire place where the entire town can sit. It is a proven fact that they can do it. Some of them even have shaded spots now. It's always good to have more shaded spots. I think one of the things we could do as the Bosque Village in our community programs is to offer, I don't know if there's electricity down there, but to offer events down there. Now, I would actually like it to not have it be electricity based if at all possible, but we could have, for example, solar cooking down there. We could cook our meal. We could make a mobile setup so we could actually go and set something up. And this is actually an argument for having Shelter Systems Dome, for example, a 30-foot one even. You know, so we can go to a place, in this case, just Oranga or Yotatiro. Those would be our targets right now. Possibly Zarzamora. Really close by. 30-foot might be too big. We can always start smaller with 20s. You know, and connect them together and do all sorts of stuff. But that would look cool, and we could provide some other options for those spaces. We have done fire spinning down there at the bull ring. In fact, we could brainstorm what are all the uses we could have for the bull ring. Well, first of all, I could take a bunch of Bosque people, we go sit over there, and we have a beer. We have done that before. It is a proven thing you can do, and you can call it fun. Another thing I could do is text, because more and more people I can text and say, hey, we're going to be there at this time. And then maybe some locals that I like will show up and we'll sit around and shoot the shit. Off my property, near their home, a break for me, also a break for them. We can always bring toys, and so we can think about, you know, activities as just a list of toys to start with. Juggling is the obvious choice. I like to juggle, I never do. I will remove myself from the internet and juggle. Will that help me? Not really. Juggling is just a cool thing to do. It's not going to hurt you. It's actually really good for kids, I think, to teach them eye-hand coordination. If your kid does not learn how to juggle, you did not train them well enough. If you don't know how to train them to juggle, have someone else do it. It is not that hard. I have taught people, I went to Burning Man and I brought tons of juggling balls. I think I brought like 100 or so. That's what I thought was good. It might have been 500. It was probably 100. I'm pretty cheap sometimes. But what I did was anybody could come over to the camp and juggle all they want, right? And I teach them how to juggle. Any level. All of them. Don't give a shit. If they already know how to juggle, they should just leave. And then I taught them, you know, as best I could, how to improve. And they come back. Some of them came back every day. Not very many. Very few people came back every day. But a bunch of people did learn how to juggle by the end of the week, and I gave away all my juggling balls. Because all you have to do is prove to me you can juggle. Good enough, so I think you'll keep doing it later, if you have juggling balls. And juggling balls shouldn't bounce or anything. They're very specific. They're kind of like hacky sacks. You know, they're little bean bags. And that's how you want to learn to juggle 3 balls. Then you move up to circles or clubs later. That was actually a really fun year at Burning Man. I like giving stuff away quite a bit. I like teaching people things. I even picked up a hitchhiker, 2 hitchhikers in my van going back home. And one of the guys had his juggling club stolen at Burning Man. And he did not know I was a juggler when he told me this, as far as I know. But I didn't tell him. And so I happened to have juggling clubs there that I gave to him. And I forget if they were fire juggling clubs or regular. But it at least got him back into the juggling action, you know. So I guess I'm pro-juggling, you know, as just a basic skill. And if they keep doing it or not, it doesn't really matter. I saw the brothers Karamazov, I think that was their name. There's that piece of literature. Anyway, they were a great juggling troupe. I think that they were out of Mud Bay and near near Olympia somewhere. Anyway, let's get back to the book, shall we? So we're done with harapeos and animal abuse. We're wondering about how to better use bull rings, but we're moving on. This is the dance of the viejitos here. These are old guys who dance. They're not all old. They actually have little kids in there too, and it's all very cute. And you can take photos of it and video just like everyone else has. I don't even recommend you do that because it wastes your time. I think we should make one really good video, maybe 3, whatever, in different settings. And then I think we should just make that public domain. Or we could just use it ourselves. I don't know, maybe we shouldn't make it public domain because they own their own image and we actually don't have model releases from them, so actually we can't. So what we would do is then just make it so we can use it easier, probably. Obviously they're giving away permission to use the video to some degree. Cielito Lindo, Cielito Lindo. This is a song that you should learn if you come to Mexico. That is just how it is. Don't come to Mexico till you learn this song. Learn this song right away. Learn it with your friends so you can sing it together. It's really fun to sing together. And I have noticed, and this is a stereotype, but it's totally true, is that, well, at least here, Mexicans will sing together when Americans don't have enough common heritage to do so. It's cultural fragmentation in the States, and they still have lots of variety here, but what they do have for shared culture is very strong. So anyway, this is Cielito Lindo in Spanish. There probably isn't one in English. And you can look up the translation if you want. But it's not got any hard words. You need to know all these words anyway. It's very fun. Let's turn the page. Oh yeah, the Virgin of Guadalupe. I'm going to skip this one almost because I have almost no knowledge. I know once a year at some church there's a big gathering. I know that a peasant guy thought he saw the Virgin Mary, and then I think there was even a doll involved. And everybody goes on December 12th to Mexico City, or they do something about it. It's not my favorite thing. I'm not real Catholic, and I don't really believe in supernatural shit at all. But I'm glad people are having fun. They celebrate the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and they say grace every night during dinner time. Probably true. I don't know. Well, here's a pretty picture. Look at that kitchen. That's just gorgeous. Personally, I want a stainless steel kitchen. I'm not a big fan of the tile. I know tile is very common in Mexican kitchens. The pottery crockware, I want to make sure they don't use any lead. A lot of glazes use lead. There's actually a nonprofit called Barro Sin Plomo, which means pottery without lead. And they're a good organization that helps creators of these products to use a glaze that doesn't have lead in it. I haven't been to a lot of places that advertise that they have no lead, so that makes me concerned because I would not want hot food out of a leaded thing. In fact, I don't even want my cold food out of a leaded thing because things get damaged and I just don't want to eat lead. So the girl's very cute. That's very nice. The decor in the room is amazing. I love this blue tile behind her. I don't mind the little knick-knacky wall. You know, it's a little knick-knacky for me. It's too knick-knacky for me. I don't like it. I want the kitchen to be more easy to clean, and I want to be able to spray it out with a hose if I want to. That's just me. So a nice cabinet there with glass, or is that a mirror? I don't even know. Okay, let's go on. Los chiles en nogada. I've had these. And it says it's common in the state of Puebla. See, I don't live in Puebla, and food's very, very regional. So I would eat that, totally. It looks like pomegranate, some kind of cream stuff, and probably a chile relleno, a filled chili. Walnuts. Oh, it has walnuts. I love walnuts. That does sound really good. Okay, I would totally eat it. I didn't read about it before. Also, it has, the colors of the Mexican flag. You'll find this on huevos a la mexicana. If there's like salsa and rajas and eggs. And so it's kind of fun to make, a food that's the color of your national flag. Although blue food is not real popular, so I don't know if that's really going to take off in the USA. Mole, oh my God. This talks about mole poblano. There's actually tons of kinds of mole, lots and lots of kinds of mole. And I'm at Tole. I love mole on almost anything. I've had mole chicken. I'll eat mole tofu, I'll eat mole. I would probably just eat mole sauce as a soup. I'm not sure if that's true. But you could put mole on potatoes and it would taste good. And there's many moles. You can buy them as a paste, and that's actually what I recommend. You can buy them at places by the quarter kilo or whatever that are freshly made, and you can find your favorite ones over time. You could taste them. You could buy canned ones, but I don't know. I like the idea of buying them in either Yotatiro or Aronga, and then going and having a class to learn how to make it. We did that one time at one person's house. It was awesome, but it was so many steps. It was ridiculous. So I want a pretty easy mole to make. I mean, I want the class to not last longer than about 6 hours, if at all possible. I think that's a long time. And there needs to be a break in there for some food. Guacamole is great around here. I live in the state of Michoacan. It's a fantastic state. It's the best state. No offense to the other states, but this is where I live, and this is where I chose to live out of everywhere in the entire world. That says something for a place. And I didn't choose lightly. You know, I didn't follow love and I didn't follow money to get here. So guacamole is made of avocados. The avocado capital of the world is Uruapan, right over there. And then there's avocados grown all over the place between here and the coast. There's good climate for it. I'm growing some avocados. It's a little chilly here, but it can be done. And so I'm doing some. My neighbors are growing tons of avocados. So avocados will always be cheap here. There's days where I eat 3 avocados. The avocado season is also super long. Unlike some of the other specialized foods we eat here, we have avocados almost all year. Probably at least 3/4 of the year. And it doesn't preserve well so far, so we just pig out. I mean, I'd love to preserve them. We could freeze dry them if we knew how to do that. Then the tortilla. Here we've got the tortilla. Now, that's interesting that they only have one thing on the tortilla, and that they say that it's, they don't say what it's made out of. And there's 2 kinds of tortillas. There's corn and there's wheat. And really, they're not the same thing at all. Yes, they have the same shape. Corn ones, you have to heat to fold them. Wheat ones, you don't. Guess which one I prefer? The wheat ones, because I want to stick stuff in my taco wrap or taco or torta or whatever the fuck it is, my burrito, and I want to do it quickly. And I don't want to have a hot object. Now, I realize that there are cases where near a kitchen, you have hot objects anyway, and it's no big deal. And some people are actually gluten intolerant and don't like the wheat tortillas, the ones I like. And so corn tortillas should be provided. I'm not questioning that. In no way am I against corn tortillas. And, you know, the issue nixtamalized and all that, because corn is actually more of a process to deal with if you do your own nixtamalization. Or you could buy in bulk other stuff to just quickly make a masa and to make your tortilla. The wheat ones seem like they're easier both on the grinding level, and somebody's going to have to comment on this and correct me, which is harder to prepare, corn or wheat tortillas. Wheat ones are also often bigger, and I like big. And since they're foldable, I can stick my goo from a big pot right into it. I can fold it up, and now I've got my mobile food with no dishes. I love wraps. Healthy. I know I'm getting my carbohydrates. If I eat 2 wraps a day and 2 eggs, and then some fruits and veggies, I'd be fine. In fact, 1 wrap will probably do it if it's a good wrap. So we got to learn how to wrap. I would do some wrapping now, but I would embarrass myself. I don't even listen to that much rap, to be honest. Although some of it's pretty good, actually. The taco. Okay, the taco's great. I can't say enough about the taco. Right, this does say any type of food that is wrapped inside a warm tortilla is considered taco. Boom. So a wrap is just a more wrapped up tortilla. No, it would still be a burrito, a taco. Anyway, we should make tacos out of everything here. It's fun. Although one thing that I do want to do is, I think people eat too many tacos sometimes, and that's how they become obese. And so any Mexican food that I get involved with, I would like to be very healthy Mexican food. It's actually very important to me. So, nopales, well, here's an example of a really healthy food. Yeah, you can put nopales in anything, and it's very healthy. And you can eat nopales without the tortilla as well. I don't think people should be eating more than like 4 tortillas a day, probably. I think people are addicted to tortillas. Now, the ocean food, seafood is a little tricky for me. I don't live right near the ocean. I live about 3.5, 4 hours away. So could I justify buying seafood? And which seafood? Well, there's a seafood market down in Lázaro Cárdenas. So one thing I like the idea of is buying directly from the producer. Now, they probably have multiple options on how to get things delivered. And they probably also know who they already deliver to near me. For example, Raul, who has a place down there and he uses seafood. And so I could order like a tuna through him, maybe a whole tuna once a year, and then talk about how we're fishing out the oceans and shouldn't eat seafood. I do eat tuna fish, by the way, just as a disclaimer. Tuna fish out of cans. That's because I'm trying to survive here, and it works. So it's not ideal, though. I mean, I feel like I should boycott all seafood for a while, or only eat it when I'm at the beach. That makes it more local. I did go through the seafood market in Zihuatanejo. No, in Lázaro Cárdenas, in Michoacán. It was great, and my Spanish wasn't as good then, so I could go with a video camera and a Spanish-speaking friend. It would also help, even though I could study up a little bit. The problem is when I have a conversation that's outside my scope of normal conversation, I don't know how to say anything because I don't know the right words and I don't understand those words. So I'm just out of the game. I'm back to a dumbass, who can't speak Spanish. So walking around there's all these names of all these fish, and I should totally have a cheat sheet for that, and then mark them down and mark down the prices, and then ask about the seasonality of fish. Which kinds of fish are the most seasonal? Which they get the most of at what time of the year? And does that mean that they're cheaper at that time of the year, or fresher? I don't know. But I'd be willing to investigate my most local seafood options. This talks about the tradition in Mexico of winemaking. Well, my belief is that winemaking has a long way to go in Mexico. I think that they're going to make better wines, that they're going to improve their wines, that they're going to get better well known. I would like to try grapes here. I'll try grapes. I think everybody should try grapes. Everywhere. For some reason, the tradition of winemaking did not come over to Mexico as much as it did to the U.S. And really, it only flourished in the U.S., really in California, a long time later. And so I believe there's an untapped agricultural opportunity to make wine. And grapes are good anyway. The grapes I have right now are eating grapes, but I also am going to be getting some wine grapes later. And I don't understand what the difference is. Like, how come I can't make wine out of eating grapes? Who decided which is which? I mean, I got to go read about that. I'm sure there's an obvious answer. Anyway, what's cool about this is they show this amazing basement for keeping your wine in a very stable temperature. And I think that's really important and certainly much easier here in Mexico. So essentially, as I talk about root cellars, which I do quite a bit, I've forgotten one type of root cellar, and that is the wine cellar. I mean, part of me is against putting something in such a small bit of packaging. It doesn't seem, I don't know, I guess there's times when you just open up a bottle of wine and you have just a glass and then you cork it and then you drink a little bit or something. If I open up a bottle of wine, I'm going to drink the whole bottle of wine. That's how I am. And I'll enjoy every minute of it. I don't think I've stuck a cork back into the bottle of wine in my recollection. And I'm not sure. Certainly for walking around, if you're walking around drinking a bottle of wine, then having it in that size bottle is great because the neck acts like a handle. Maybe this is why it was designed that way. It acts like a handle so you can walk around and not spill it. And then you can take a swig and swish it around your mouth and say, I'm outside drinking this fucking awesome wine under the moon or under the clouds or sun or light rain. Good luck on that. Light rain around here turns into heavy rain. But I mean, that's one way to drink a wine for sure. And so that would justify putting a small thing. I guess what I'm wondering is how come they don't put wine in bigger things? And we can actually. For example, the jug things that they sell sherry in this, I believe, and we could put it in there, and we could bottle it and then cap it. But the reason that's bad for wine is because you want it to breathe a little bit, and so we have to make a distinction between the beverages that we brew that need to breathe and the ones that don't. And then we have to look at the availability of corks as well versus the availability of capping things to cap bottles with. And along with that is, can we reuse a cap? I don't understand why we can't reuse a cap. I bet we could. I want to try it. Why not? I'm the kind of guy who tries things, and you should try it too. Recap your bottle with, save some caps, right? Toss them in an alcohol solution for a bit. They still have plastic and shit on them. They came off the bottle. Try and put it back on the bottle as it is. try and put the thing in, line up the grooves, and then cap it. Give it a shot. Why not? Anyway, I think there's a whole lot of cultural things that be going on in this country, and I'd like to be part of them. I got a couple friends who are experimenting with different forms of fermentation that just never took off in this country for a variety of reasons. That is a bigger topic. Here's a chelada, or it's not called a chelada here. This is really different than where I live, actually. It's very interesting. It's called a michelada. Maybe it's because we're Michoacan, michelada. I would make out that joke. That's funny. It's a messed up beer. This one only has lime juice and 3 ice cubes in a glass. That's because they're in a really hotter spot as well. I've had micheladas with ice and without. And you can get really crazy with it and have junk all over the top. It makes it hard to drink the drink. Or you can just have a very simple thing like this. This sounds fine. This is just lime and ice cubes. But a lot of micheladas have, like, I think it's tomato juice. And they have spices on the top of the rim of the cup. Or salt. I think spices usually. It's really not actually my most comfortable way to drink a beer. I'm not a huge fan personally, but I will try one. Everywhere I've ever gone in Mexico, I've tried a michelada, and I made them here too. I think they're a fun drink, but you know, in some cases I'm just in the mood where you should just hand me the mug of beer. Tequila. If they don't have mezcal in here, I'm going to be very annoyed. They do. It's the next page. Oh, how convenient. Well, let's talk about mezcal then. That's mainly up in Jalisco. There are other places that are also licensed to use the term mezcal in what they produce. Just like champagne is an owned term, tequila is an owned term. You can't make tequila even if you have blue agaves. So I do not have a license to make tequila. I can't use that word. I would use a different word if I did do that, but they don't grow here that well anyway. What I would make is mezcal. Doesn't that guy look happy? They do have a mezcal place just around the lake here. And then in Atuquero, they have mezcalerias. I was in a forest once and I saw guys with chainsaws harvesting them. That was a surprise because the other time I went up with some guys, they used humidors, the big knives. It's a great process. It's a great way to have fermentation occur. It uses land that is difficult with a plant that is strong and that you can eat parts of. So mezcal in general is a great drink. We can always improve our distillation of it. It's big deal in the states of Oaxaca and some others, and in this book they don't mention Michoacan, and that is a huge error. It's true that there's not a ton in Michoacan, but I'd like to see more, and I'm planting more of the agave that produce that. That's the family of plants, the agave, that produce various kinds of liqueurs, and so I'm very excited about it. Here we go. We got our traditional Mexican desserts and candy. I will skip that because I'm not a huge aficionado, but there are candy places. There's a candy place in Morelia. I don't know, any candies I make should be chocolate, which I like, even though it doesn't grow here. And then honey, because we can grow that here. We can raise bees, and we do. And I think that's really the better way to go. And with that honey, we can also produce mead. So honey is this magical stuff that if we get really good at a system of just cranking it out and just take great care of our bees, and more than one type perhaps, like this is a big land. We could have bees on 4 different areas, or well, we'll start with one. We have one now, but it's actually a neighbor's that is just hosted here. But currently I'm not a beekeeper. I would like to be a beekeeper or get a beekeeper to take care of the beekeeping system, and we could even raise money specifically for that, because I have whole different ideas about how we could do bees domestically, because we do want something out of them. The other option is we could just promote a wild bee preserve, and that would be okay too. So Mexican artisans, that is true. They carve, weave, paint, mold, spin, and sculpt, especially in Michoacan. This is a great state. I have an entire book just on Michoacan crafts. Maybe I'll do a similar look through on that. I'm sure it's fair use for me to do that. This is great stuff here. The Huichol Indians, or indigenous people, Huichols, or whatever you want to call them. I don't care. But they're great. And they have beaded work here. It is beautiful. And it must be quite painstaking to set all those in. And they have deer's heads that they did. I saw one like that. I wanted to buy it, but it was a lot of my price range. Their art in general is astounding. They do some yarn art with colored yarn laid into patterns, and it's just gorgeous stuff. I can't recommend it enough. They're one of my favorite types of art in all of Mexico. Paper, this says they make it from the amate tree. I don't know that one, so therefore I want to investigate it, see if I can get it or see if I want it. And then this one is another one called cow's tongue or lingua de vaca, using a process that's similar to the bark paper. I think knowing how to make paper is a great idea. We should buy paper when we travel and then try and mimic it. That should be our goal. So buy examples, research it, invite someone here if necessary. But almost any craft that exists in Mexico and certainly in Michoacan, we should have really good examples of them being made here. And who knows, maybe those could be auctioned off. Maybe we lottery them off, whatever we can do. But we want to preserve the highest and best form of art, and we can also create fusions of those. I've sometimes wondered, for example, there's some guys in Pátzcuaro who have these wooden plates that are made out of some kind of wood, I forgot which. And then they paint it with a black lacquer, and then they use really fine lacquer and enamel paints or whatever. I don't know what kind of paint they use, but really fine looking stuff that has bright colors, and they do really intricate patterns on it. It's very pretty, and they'll do it right there in the place where they sell them in on-site patios in Pátzcuaro. I'm a little more interested in finding out what town they do that in, going there and seeing some other people's workshops, and then learning about it, meeting some people. If it helps them, do some photographs and give it to them. Maybe make a video, but to promote that style of art. And then if we do mix here with an artist in residence program, really the best, the most motivated people, not the oldest and most famous, but the young and ambitious. And they come here and they prove that they can make what is traditional for them. They make their best work, and then they fuse some of their technique in with the technique of someone else. So for example, what happens if one of these guys who does lacquer paints onto one of the figurines that I like? So in other words, how can we cross-pollinate the arts? And starting with the ones that are easiest for us to do, of course. But pottery is such a basic thing. How come we're not experts out here? Jeez. Let's take a look at this one real quick. This is some kind of embroidery technique that's actually common around here, and it would be great to like even order some stuff with different designs or something that fits me, because a lot of things don't fit me. Like I like to wear slightly oversized shirts. This one's kind of correct, I guess. But I don't know. Like, why don't they make some I like that? And I don't think guys wear embroidery very much, do they? I think it's just the women. Huh? That might be seen as a woman's thing. Anyway, this is some weaving here. There's a great weaving spot down in Aronga. I would love to have them set up with tourists that come through and weave something into a piece of cloth, either a design or their name, and that's their whole day project is just the one thing, and they learn to do it. They start the day pretty early, and then they have a break for lunch, and then they continue, and they pay a reasonable amount, and the place gets a little bit of money. Some people buy some cloth, and the town makes a little bit more money. That's great. I love it. And then what we're really doing is building up the infrastructure of the town, because there was probably 20 or 30 looms before. Now there's only one loom I know of. That is very dangerous and bad. We have to not let our skills rot away. We have to not let our best of technology at the time, non-electric, complicated machines like a loom, we need to not lose the loom. Don't lose the loom. Yeah, this is definitely a Southern Mexico book. This is actually funner for me if I'm going to read this to you, because even though I can't add as much as what I know, I can compare it with what I know, and I might learn something, which is super fun. This is the Ixtle de Palma. This is, I believe, this plant here would be a yucca, is my guess. Some kind of fibers from a palm, and they weave them into stuff. We need to become experts at that. I do have one yucca tree here. I've looked it up. It does have good fibers. I just don't know how to use them, and it's low on my priorities list. But if a fiber expert was here, which I would like to invite one, then they could have all they want of materials and do whatever experiments they like, as long as we document it and learn. A magnificent gourd, product of nature, turned into a container or into a beautiful daily use utensil. I think gourds are a great thing. I've got several kinds. They grow well. I've got bitter gourd, so you can make a stuff that dogs won't want to chew on something. It's really disgusting. It's not a food. They're round and hard, and you just find them. I want to reproduce those so we get more. It's actually a real product, even though it seems gross and we're not going to eat it. We have a variety of other kinds of gourds. If I go out and I find any kind of gourd that looks different to me, I buy it, I cut it, get the seeds, plant it out here. We have Malabar gourds. No one wants them. I can grow 1,000. I used a bunch of chicken food. They could be rabbit food too, whatever. But again, I'll grow anything I can, so I don't care. I believe that we should still plant Malabar gourds in every single location on the property, and maybe even document where we planted to see, then go back and harvest